Welcome to Cryptid Cross Roads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Cryptid Cross Roads 505. We are here in the studio starting episode 1 of our new venture,
Right.
Cryptid Cross Roads.
The newly branded CR 505.
That's right, CCR
CCR
505.
See, we're still learning ourselves.
That's right. So it's taken a while, but here it is, folks. And we're glad you had patience. I know some of you have been reaching out to us and asking, where could we find it?
Right. Now, we've talked about this for a while, the rebranding. We feel the name is more appropriate to the content we put out.
That's right.
And that way, people who search, they could find us rather than the other name, Late Night with Larry, because if you search Sasquatch, that probably won't come up.
That won't come up, and that's why we rebranded. So if you're new to our podcast or listening to our audio, audio or new on YouTube, first of all, we want to thank you for listening.
Welcome.
Second of all, we want you to hit the subscribe button. And last but not least, reach out to us. And you can do that at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com. And we have a little tradition for those of you that have never watched us on Late Night with Larry. Now that we're Cryptid Crossroads, every time we do a podcast, we salute you.
Right. We toast you. Now, this has been a tradition since early on, right?
So early, yeah. I'd say almost the very first podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Now, it's no secret we have a few drinks while we're doing our podcast.
That's right.
It's our days off, so we like to relax a little. And, it's, what do they call it? Liquid courage helps the conversation flow.
It helps us talk about the cryptid things that haunt us.
It helps us talk about the things that scare us.
That's right.
Anyway, this is to you guys.
To you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's good. Not only cheers, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Now, since this is episode 1 for Cryptid Crossroads 505, let us tell you new listeners a little bit about our podcast.
Right.
Now, a little bit of the background. A couple years ago, I went camping with my kids up in the Jemez Mountains, and we had an incident. There was 2 Sasquatches. I've seen the shadows, the eyes. I know what I saw. They came to visit the camp, and they hung around until we abandoned the camp. But anyway, that's what got it all kicked off. I went home. I was freaked out. A couple days later, I told my brother about it, and I didn't want to go back, but he convinced me to go back. So we went back, and his first time, we had a little bit of audio activity, and I was pretty cool. But
Right.
Ever since then, it's I'm not afraid to go back anymore. Sometimes I do get scared out there because out in the wilderness, you realize how small and insignificant you really are.
You do.
And but it's become more of a passion because we want to know the truth. We want to know more, and it's expanded from Sasquatch to aliens. We see some crazy stuff in the skies up there.
We do. And he's right. It took me some convincing to get him to go back up to that mountain, but I just wanted to have the same experience he did, whether I crap my pants or I run for my life.
Right.
This is just something that I thought, wow, man, what a cool thing to experience. I mean, I watched the Bigfoot shows all my life, the Bigfoot series, Finding Bigfoot, and all the documentaries on Bigfoot. And growing up, In Search Of was where I first got exposed to this creature.
Right, the Patterson.
Yeah, they did an episode on Bigfoot, and I thought, what? No way that exists out in the woods.
Right.
And ever since I was small, I've been, intrigued, interested in the subject.
I think we both have been
Right.
since
And,
we were young. And then when I was in the military, my dad had an experience. I didn't find out till years later.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty neat. And just over the years, I've talked to credible witnesses, so that's piqued my interest even more. But we're still the kind of guys who, we really got to see it or experience it for ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when I had that experience, it blew my mind.
Yeah, and I want to have the same experience. And, and we do talk about other things because we both lived in a house that was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
So we do delve into the paranormal, the hauntings.
Right.
And we've had a couple of guest speakers when we were Late Night with Larry that told us about their haunting experience. And I have a couple lined up to tell about their ghost experience now that we're Cryptid Cross Roads.
Right.
And we're just giving you a little bit background of, not trying to bore you, but
Right. Of how we got to where we are.
Right.
Now, when my brother convinced me to go back. We went back a few times, and then it's become more of a passion for me because I want to know more. I want to know the truth. And also I want to know that I wasn't crazy.
Right.
But when we go out there, it's about, a 2-hour drive all the way up to our spot.
Yeah, to our spot, it's at least 2 hours.
So we always, we talk the whole time driving up. We talk the whole time there, the whole time back. Not only about Sasquatch, but everything. We talk political crap or, what's going on in the news. We talk, I tell him, hey, I know this guy that this happened to or whatever.
Right.
And that's when my brother got the idea to do a podcast. He's like, man, we could just record it as we're going.
And I got the idea because I was reading articles and I heard how podcasts are like just blowing up. And one of the articles said there's a lot of podcasts out there, but they still haven't touched the surface.
Right.
And you could think of it, just think on YouTube, how many videos are uploaded to YouTube daily. And that's how podcasts are now. And it seems like a lot of people put the TV away and would rather listen to podcasts or watch YouTube,
Right. Well, with the podcast, you could have your earbuds in and still do something else.
That's right. You're not stuck in front of the TV.
You can multitask.
Yes, you could be active in the gym, outside, or just cruising even, and you could listen to some of your favorite podcasts right there.
You could listen to Cryptid Cross
Roads 505. That's
while
right.
you're pumping iron.
That's right.
Now, when we were talking about launching the podcast, a friend of our sisters had a concept idea about doing like a show, and she wanted to call it Late Night with Larry, kind of like a talk show.
Right.
So we already had that name in the queue, so we ran with that.
Right.
But as we evolved, we've always talked about changing something more appropriate. Then we decided we're trying to hit 100 episodes before we rebrand.
Right. And
But as we got into the 90s, we wanted, let's rebrand now.
Right.
And when we were ready to rebrand, there was a lot more than we thought involved.
And it wasn't easy changing over. We had to find a new intro, a new outro, new backgrounds, and it wasn't an easy task because when you think about cryptids, you're like, well, what truly is a cryptid and the paranormal, and how could we fit this into our podcast? Now, everyone has their own ideas, but I really put some thought into this because I want, when you listen to our show or when you watch us on YouTube, I want it to draw your attention, and I want to pull you in. And I want you to be interested in the stories we tell or the experiences we've had. And if I could do that, then I didn't waste 30 minutes of your time.
Right. Now, we like to talk about our experiences. We have an area up in the Jemez Mountains that we go to, and It never fails. 99% of the time we have something happen, whether it be up in the skies with something unexplained, or we find big footprints, or even one time we had something touch a truck and big handprint left on there. And I mean, we hear screams, I've heard tree snaps. I've heard them talk. That's how close they were that first night. It's some kind of language. The only way I could explain it is like a caveman language, but
right.
But anyway, that's what we talk about a lot of the time. But we also want to get your stories.
That's right. Most important thing to us is getting our audience to reach out to us, because I know everybody out there has a story, and I want you to tell us your story,
Right.
and we'll broadcast it to the world.
We're like kind of like radio DJs. We're here putting out our message or whatever, and we're hoping out there that someone's listening to us.
That's right.
That's why we're asking for feedback.
That's right. So anytime you leave us a comment, shoot us an email, and just tell us how we're doing. Or like my brother always said when we're doing the other podcast, tell us if we suck.
Yeah. But when we get a good comment or something, or somebody wants to come on the show, we don't put this on the podcast, but in the background we do the happy dance.
That's right.
We'll show that at a later date, though.
That's a different podcast. And that kind of sparks and lets you know the background of where we started and where we're at today. And if, like I said, if this is your first time listening, we don't want to bore you with too much of that background, but thanks for giving this a shot. Thanks for listening.
Right.
And we're going to bring you some good content.
Right.
And
Now what are we going to talk about tonight? Now, you sent me a video of UFOs in Tucson.
yes, what'd you think of that?
You know what? First of all, when me and my brother see videos or we hear stories, we try to listen with an open mind.
Right.
And that's our philosophy here, is have an open mind, because we cannot say, you know what, this guy's lying, that guy's lying, because
Right.
we weren't there. We
That's
don't know.
Absolutely right.
Because I'm sure people have heard my story and think, man, this dude's a crackpot. Yeah, Sasquatch talking, walking around his camp. But, it happened. I'm telling you.
Right.
So I'm not trying to make you believe in Sasquatch. I just want you to hear my story.
And those of you that say Sasquatch talking, why don't you listen to the Sierra Sounds?
Right.
Just look on YouTube or just Google Sierra Sounds, and something will pop up. And
Right.
And that was from the 70s.
Right. And that is some intense audio. That's all I will say.
That's some of the best chatter that I've heard to this day.
Right.
Now
getting back to
Getting
that
back-
video.
yeah.
Now, when I watched it a couple of times. There's several, I don't know, lights. They almost look like orbs.
to me they did look like orbs,
But see, they're in the sky, and the only thing that really makes me think it's not real is when there's a tree there and you could see it in front of the tree.
Right.
Instead of it blacking out behind the tree.
it should go behind the tree.
Right. See, that's I noticed that real quick.
Right. And like I could tell you from experience that we've been up in the mountains and we've seen what we thought, or what we can say is a UFO or UAP, because just the way it moved. One night we were up in the mountains and we saw this bright, shiny object in the sky making no noise. It was just standing still, and then all of a sudden it started zooming off, and it came to a complete halt, and then it just zoomed off again.
Right.
And we talked about this on one of our later Late Night with Larry episodes, and it was shortly after, it zoomed right back, and we saw what we believe were military jets that were up in the sky. And were they trying to locate it? Possibly. But the way it moved, our conventional aircraft just doesn't do that.
No, and it even zigzagged.
It did.
Now that
was-
right there is like, whoa, we don't have nothing that could do that.
And it was traveling at a high rate of speed, and it just like zigzagged. And I said, first thing I did is, our older brother was with us, and I asked him, I said, did you see that? He said, I did. I said, wow, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
And he's had his UFO sightings. So he was like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, he's an over-the-road truck driver, so he's out late at night, and he sees things in the sky.
That's right. He's had some good UFO stories that he's told us.
Yeah. Now, what got us involved really with the UFO part of this is we're out there. We would always go to. We have a spot we like to call our spot, and we won't give up the exact location because it's kind of annoying when we go and somebody's in our spot,
Right.
and they're jamming karaoke and the spider
The
music on it. But anyway, what got us started is we went out there and we took my daughter and her friend and his grandson, and they were all three of them. They're teenagers at the time. They're laying in back of the pickup, just looking at the stars, and they told us, "Hey, look at that one! It's moving." And
We're like, what?
that's what got our attention.
So ever since that night, we really look up, and you could see every star out there because it's pitch black. There's no light pollution from
Right.
like the city, so you could really see the sky and you could see it clear. And like my brother said, we see moving stars. Some people say they're satellites, but I'm like, no, satellites move in one direction only.
Well, the majority of the satellites, you can't even see them move because they're in orbit
With the Earth.
with the Earth over the United States, because that's like your DirecTV,
That-
your Sirius,
that's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's right. So to see a bright object just up in the sky and then it starts moving, and then to see it just zoom off, that kind of makes you think. You're like, well, that's too high for a helicopter, and there's no beacon on it. What the hell was that?
Right, right, and that's a dead giveaway because even military, civilian aircraft, they have different color lights. They have the flashing beacon, and they just look like a solid light, or even just if they get close enough, they look like I don't know, like solid steel,
Yeah, it's
something like stainless steel.
all I could say is I don't know what they are. That's
Right.
That's why to me they're UFOs.
Right, and there's always the debate: are they ours?
Or are they theirs?
Right, and who is they?
Right. And if any of you follow like the UFO community or the UFO documentaries, you know exactly what we're talking about because recently, like the UFO videos put out by the Navy that were leaked and supposedly Lou Alessandro, who talks about us having our own space program where we reversed engineer UFO technology. And I think one of the first whistleblowers was Bob Lazar,
Maybe
who worked at Area 51. He came
Is
out.
he the one with the crazy hair?
No, Bob Lazar. He's real skinny, glasses.
Okay,
He's the one that worked at Area 51. And
Right, there was one with the crazy hair, always talking about aliens and stuff.
oh, that's you're talking about on Ancient Aliens.
There you go. That
Yeah.
guy.
No, that's not Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was he was hired to work in Area 51, and he claims that he was hired to reverse engineer UFO technology, and he said he's seen them up close. He says we have them, they're there, and he was hired to work on them, and he says we have them.
Not only that, they say in these underground bases, there's also aliens.
Yep, that's what they say.
But
So
the majority of us will never know.
we
Well,
won't.
not anytime soon, but who knows? This may all come out. I wish it would.
It may. I wish it would too. And we're from the New Mexico area, and we know that we have Sandia Labs here, which are stories about aliens around this area. The most popular place, two most popular places in New Mexico, is the Roswell Crash down in Roswell, and Dulce, New Mexico, supposedly where we have alien bases
Right.
located in the mountain. And they say these bases go down hundreds of feet, and I don't know.
And
How do we get to one?
right, and let's not forget about Los Alamos.
Los Alamos is another lab, and like I told my brother, I think we have a lot of UFO activity here because of all the nuclear research that was done in New Mexico. Of course, the atom bomb was discovered here
Right.
and tested here. And I think once we started playing with those matches, that we drew a lot of attention. But even before that, we have drawings that go back hundreds of years and stories that
They're in hieroglyphics.
that the star people had came down way before that.
Right. Even here on the west side of Albuquerque, we have something called the Petroglyphs.
Right.
Now there's drawings of UFOs there, and who knows how old that is.
Right. And if you're familiar with the New Mexico area, there's a tribe south of a little town called Gallup, New Mexico, and it's a Zuni tribe. And one of their elders came out publicly on a documentary, and he talked about their tradition where they talk about the star people that came down, their star brothers that came down and gave them technology and taught them things, and supposedly some of their kachinas are crafted after the star people. And I thought that was very interesting. Not only that, almost every Native American tribe, there's African tribes, there's just tribes all over the world that talk about being visited by the star people.
Right. Just look at the Anasazi, and
Right.
nobody really knows what even happened to them.
Nobody does.
Did they phone home and go home? What happened?
Right. I mean, that's kind of like the Mayans, who also have like hieroglyphs, and that's one that's like blown up and talked about many times on Ancient Aliens. Is one of their carvings, rock carvings. They're like, it looks like an astronaut in a, he's seated and he's blasting off.
Right.
And so those are things we talk about on this
Right.
podcast.
And New Mexico's rich with that kind of history.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess to us it's the norm because we grew up with it.
We did. We grew up with all that, and it, to me it was like, okay, yeah. But I always thought that was cool. I've always been into Bigfoot, aliens.
Right. We've always been intrigued. Growing up, we've been intrigued in all of the above, but the only real experience we had was with the paranormal because of that house we lived in.
Right. That house was definitely haunted.
Yeah, and growing up, there's an old army base outside of Gallup. It's called Fort Wingate Army Depot, and we used to go there as kids because we heard stories, and I think that's where I had my first brush with the paranormal.
Right.
Or my first real brush where I'm like, yep, that's a ghost. There's nothing else, and it scared the crap out of me.
Right. I think I had my real first paranormal experience. Wasn't in that house. It was when I first joined the military, and I got together with some guys, and I didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we were playing with the Ouija board, and just some of the things that started happening to me scared the shit out of me. I didn't touch it or mess with anything for quite a while. And
right.
I got a little scared on that one.
Right. Now, our grandparents, probably on both sides, they were hardcore, Catholic. And they always, I remember on my mom's side at least, they're like, you don't mess with that shit.
Yeah, I was always taught not to mess with it because bad things could happen. And
Right.
I found out the hard way. I was like a cat. My curiosity got the best of me, and I learned the hard way. And to this day, I still won't play with the Ouija board.
Right.
But I know a lot of people do. And I just say, just be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of our lessons in life, we found out the hard way. I mean, look,
Unfortunately.
we go up to the mountains looking for something 2, 3, 4 times our size that could bite our head off, rip us apart, and
Right.
and we're okay with that.
We're all right with that. We still go up there and try and lure it out,
And I always joke with my brother. I said, if one comes out, I'm going to walk up to it, but you film it because if it kills me, at least you and my family will get rich on the footage.
or who knows, it may get him and then come after me, but at least there'll be something on the phone.
Or I hope he don't get me during breeding season, mating season. We won't share that video. I'm sorry.
That would be very, very, very bad for you.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to tell you real quick. We talk about having people on our podcast, guests. We've had people talk about their paranormal stuff. Not a whole. We had a friend of mine talk about Wolfman and shadow people, and and on the reservation, on the Laguna Acoma reservation, we haven't had a whole lot of Bigfoot guests.
We haven't.
Now, I don't know what you guys are waiting for, because I know off the podcast, people talk to me about their Bigfoot encounters.
Right. And we know that there's thousands of Bigfoot sightings every year.
Yep. But what I was getting to is I met a gentleman, and I talked to you off camera about this, how he saw a UFO,
Right.
and he showed me the video. But the video was, it was just stationary, and he said it just caught his eye. He said it wasn't a satellite. But he has this app on his phone. It's Star X or something. But it shows you, and I think they use it in tandem with like telescopes and laptops, where you pan around and it shows you the constellations.
Oh, yeah, the constellations. I've seen that.
And so it'll show you what's supposed to be in the sky.
Right.
And you could match it up and, hey, that's not supposed to be there.
Exactly.
So that's what he has, and that's what he went by, and he started telling me stories about, what are those rods called?
Oh, the dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods, and he has a very interesting past with his grandmother. She was a healer, I guess.
Yeah, in Spanish they call it a cubandera.
Right, and it was just interesting. So I'm gonna talk to him a little bit more, see if he'd be willing to come on the podcast and share a couple of stories.
Right. No, and that's what we want, because I'm sure some of you get tired of listening to us talk all day. So it's nice every other podcast, or every podcast if we can, to have someone else tell their
And
story.
I'm sure you're tired of our corny jokes.
Giggity. And but no, I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Sasquatch, aliens, and the paranormal.
Right.
And it seems like aliens are a hot topic
Right.
Lately, just because everything's getting leaked. And like I say, there's people out there, everyone has a little computer in their pocket with the camera attached, and it's so easy to film footage and upload it immediately.
But let's step back just one step.
Right.
It's not that easy, because every time we've seen something in the sky or whatever,
We-
do we record it?
No, we're too busy looking at it.
Because it happens that quick.
Well, yeah, by the time you get your phone out to record something like that,
It's over.
it's over. And that's why when I see some of this footage, I'm like, well, you had your camera rolling and you caught it. It was, I do question it, but I do listen to the stories, but I could be wrong. People could
Right.
just be filming something else, and a lot of people have been filming something else and caught something in the sky.
Or not only with aliens, but the alien stuff, it seems like those UFOs stay out for a while.
Yeah,
Now, the Sasquatch, they're usually filming something else.
right.
Now, a lot of the Sasquatch footage is family videos. They're out camping, and they don't even know they caught a Sasquatch till years later.
When they're reviewing all the footage and they're like, whoa, what
or,
is
or
that?
somebody else, yeah.
Right.
Or still upload a video like, oh, we're over here at the waterfalls, whatever, and someone will say, what's that in the background? And they're like,
What are you talking about?
yeah, exactly.
And then they start looking and start zooming in, and they're like, holy crap, we didn't even see that was there.
Yeah, and that just makes me wonder how many times we've been out there and we haven't seen them, but they've seen us.
Well, probably more than we know, because, as people have said, and people know because they catch it just by chance on their video, that they're elusive. They hide, they blend in with the woods so perfect that it's hard to find them.
Right, and there's always a theory about cloaking and how, I don't know, but
Right.
they do blend in. But, I mean, you could be walking around and there could be a deer or a fawn in the foliage, and you won't see them until they move.
That's
or
right.
you step on them.
That's right. Until you're right up on them, and then they just scatter. And then you get a heart attack because you didn't even know it was there.
Right.
And you're like, what the hell was that?
Right.
But they are sneaky creatures. They are.
Yep.
Yep.
But anyway, we just wanted to give you an overview for our new listeners, our new name.
Right. And we thought that'd be a fair way to kick off the new podcast, Cryptid Cross Roads 505, and just give you a little bit of background and just stay tuned because we got more content coming.
Right. We're going to have at least a few more episodes of our own excursions before they close up our spot.
Right.
For some reason, they close it up all winter.
Yeah, well,
And just to touch on this real quick, where we go, we've talked about the Valles Caldera,
Right.
like being a sanctuary. Now, out of the blue, someone asked me, he didn't even know, what is that place called? The something Caldera. And I told him, he's like, he said that he's a hunter. He's like, man, that's some good terrain out there. He said, you think maybe, because he asked me if I camp out there. I said, no, we can't get to it. He said, do you think maybe they block it off for the Sasquatch? And I said, bingo. I said, that's a theory. And he had no idea about the theory. That just, as a hunter, that came into his mind.
And that's the theory out there, that there's a sanctuary out there. And I've heard it, Can I prove it? No, because you can't get to some of that property. It's locked up tight. But that's the theory, that there's a sanctuary for them out there. And like we've talked about, there's so much game out there. There's so much fresh water.
There's so much. There's just so much to eat. We've come across blackberry bushes that are overflowing with berries.
Right. So there'd be really no reason for them to be mobile, because year round they could feed themselves.
And during the winter, like I said, they lock it up so they have the run of the place.
They do. They chase all us out, and it's their territory.
They don't know we're sneaking in, though.
That's right. Don't tell no one.
So we're gonna start a GoFundMe for bail money.
Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode, and that's what we wanted to bring you to you tonight.
Right, and don't forget to tap that app.
That's right. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Peace.
Peace. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.